So, Devin, how do you think it went?
I think it went pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always things. I still feel like I'm not addressing students enough. There's one in particular that I wanted to just take aside for like 5 minutes to go over it, and that's kind of stressful that I don't have that time in the class. And I feel like I really need to find a way to meet that student's needs because she's struggling, and I think she's almost falling farther behind. And I'm trying to find ways to do that with a few students in the class. She has an SST, she's
Okay.
underperforming, and sometimes I feel like she doesn't want to be there, but when I talk to her, she does. I'm just trying to get her up to the level of the class,
Okay.
so that she feels confident. Because I think she's not willing to take risks because she's so unsure.
When we talked about before the observation about your concerns about student engagement and worrying about some students that didn't seem fully engaged, did you feel that way with this class today?
Yeah, my one student, Madison in particular, I tried to kind of push her, and I just can't seem to draw energy out of her. And I don't know if she doesn't want to be there or if it's just uneasy. I mean, I think it's hard, high schoolers, they're always self-conscious, and to get out in a dance class and take those risks it's a big struggle for some of them, and I'm just trying to help push her and make her feel comfortable. And I know there are other students that are trying to help her, feel comfortable, but even today I felt like I know she has so much more in her, and I don't know how to draw it
Yeah,
out.
what would you say her ability level is? Would you say she's high or
She's low performing
low
in that
performing?
class. Yeah.
Okay.
And it is her first year in that class, and some of the kids, this is their second year because we only have 3 levels for 6 years of students. So it is only her second year of dance, but still, if she's gonna, start to move up, she's got to put some more energy forth and work harder.
Yeah, I did notice that there were quite a few levels, which is
Yeah.
a challenge.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, so have you considered maybe doing more like group work with the students, putting them in smaller groups so that way the lower performing will, work with the higher performing students?
I was thinking more of pairing them up. And the only reason why is if I put them in smaller groups, there's really not space in the room. And to have them do group work, I will at some point do choreography work with them. But I think that maybe if I tried pairing them up, and I'd have to see how it goes with someone who's strong that could be there and support that student, that together that will help draw up the student that's struggling. I think a lot of times the class moves so fast they can't ask me questions, that if they could just turn to someone and ask that question, or even if a dancer pulled their partner into the back and just broke it down a little bit slower, that maybe that would help.
I think that's a good
I
idea.
think it's something I just need to try out and see how it goes.
Oh, yeah. So I told you that the way that I script your lesson, I go through and then I will look for the different teaching standards that you're addressing. And I did notice quite a bit of things that you were addressing. And the first one that I noticed comes from Standard 1. It's actually 1.6, and it's monitoring and adjusting instruction. And I noticed that in your class, you did that a couple of times, just depending on how the students were doing. I noticed that there was one period where the students were going too quickly and the music was too fast, so you changed direction. You said, this isn't working, we're going to stop. So I really, I noticed that you probably do that quite often, and just because you need to in that type of situation. The other one that I noticed was Standard 2, and that one has to do with rigorous learning styles. And I noticed that you were very firm, and your expectations were very high for your students, but you were also fair, and you let them know that, hey, this is your ability, this is what you're able to do, and so you need to do your best. So I thought that was really obvious. And then Standard 3, I noticed understanding and organizing subject matter for student learning. Part of that is having knowledge about your subject matter, and you obviously know your subject matter very, very well because of your experience outside of the teaching realm and inside. And then Standard 4, establishing goals. You let your students know right away after they were stretching that today that they were going to be preparing for the,
Preparation for Fouette Rondejam.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Yes. So you let them know what they were going to be doing, which is really important for students to be able to see the big picture of what they're going to be expected to do by the end of class. And then, of course, Standard 5, you really involve students in self-assessment. I noticed that you told your students, hey, look at yourself in the mirror, correct yourself. If you're not, if you're not seeing yourself doing what you need to be doing, that's what the mirror is for. And so I think that students really take a proactive, role in monitoring their own skills and what they need to do to change. So I really noticed that. And then, of course, standard 6 is developing as a professional, and that's, kind of what we're doing here is we're reflecting on your teaching, and you're reflecting on your teaching, and you're seeing what it is that you would like to do differently. So, but I noticed a lot of really, really nice things that you addressed in the class. One of your concerns also was fitting everything in. So do you think that you were able to fit everything in that you had planned to fit in?
Yeah, I do. I wish maybe a little more time I could just talk, have them ask questions, and maybe that's something I could fit in on a Wednesday, where it's already kind of an awkward period. It's a little bit shorter, and maybe it could just be a time for discussion. I would like more time for discussion, and the class is so fast-paced that it's just not, there's not a time yet, and I don't know if it'll be for them to come into office hours and talk to me if they have comments or concerns, or if it's on a Wednesday, we just talk about it. Really talk through why we're doing it, the injury prevention that goes with it. I think sometimes they think, why are we going so slow? And they just want to fly right into it. And a lot of it's injury prevention, and they don't realize that until someone gets injured. And so I think if they understood that more, they would even work harder. They'd work a lot harder.
Yeah.
So just trying to find time for discussion, I think would be nice.
Yeah. And I noticed that you did have a couple of instances in the class where a girl got a cramp, and some students seemed there was one that was injured.
With foot injuries. And so the doctors, they pretty much say that it's dancer's choice, but I try to keep an eye on them because they have a tendency to push themselves. And so I want them to know that, you have to take your health and making sure you don't, increase your injury first. Which for some of them, they're just really good at pushing themselves.
Now you said that some of the students don't quite understand why they're having to stretch and why they're having to spend so much time warming up. Have you considered maybe using, trying to make your lesson more cross-curricular and using some language like including muscle groups that they're using and muscle groups that they might injure that might cause injuries if they don't do some of the stretching?
I really would like to integrate more anatomy work.
Yeah, and you have a background in that as well. And a lot of the students are taking biology, so they should be able to recognize some of those muscle groups. Yeah. And then tell me about the one boy that you have in your class.
Terrell, he's a good kid. It's his second year of dance, so, it's got to be tough being one boy and 36 girls, which is, it's not always like that. A lot of our classes in the department have 6 or 7 boys, but he's really pushing through and working hard. And just from his flexibility, I know it looks like it's not, he has a long way to go, but he has improved so much.
Yeah.
So I think if you saw him for where he used to be last year, even today I'm like, wow, he really has improved.
And I heard you tell him that, which was nice.
And that it's exciting to watch that. So he's improving, and I know it's a struggle for him, but he's there every day working hard, and can probably be a little overwhelming in there. And the girls are supportive of him. They don't, they don't single him out or anything. So
yeah. So with the observations that I made and the feedback that I've given you, is if you were going to do this same class all over again, is there anything that you would do differently, or
maybe try to do like a 2-day version of it where I integrate more anatomy and maybe more discussion time, so that they take in the whole step on different levels, not just the movement, but they think about how the leg is working and how we can prevent injury, and just give them time to talk to me, talk about it, discuss what's working, what's not working. So.
Okay. Well, I think everything went really well.
Thanks.
And do you have any questions for me? Any other feedback that you would like?
Maybe we can talk about at some point, other ways to support students. I can try out the ways we discussed, and then maybe we can come back and see if it didn't work, and maybe you can help me think about and find ways that I can really just be there for the students that are struggling.
Okay.
And not only that, but push the students that are excelling.
Yeah.
So really meet the needs of all the students.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely can work on that. All right.
Thanks.
Sure.